This is a TaxCast special feature from the Tax Justice Network. For our monthly TaxCasts, with news, features and expert analysis you won't hear anywhere else, go to www.tackletaxhavens.com/TaxCast. And you can also find us on iTunes. The TaxCast looks at the neglected role of the so-called Big Four accountancy firms in eroding tax revenue and promoting tax havens. Their trade affects every street, every home and every citizen.
As the world struggles to deal with an unprecedented financial and economic crisis, the need for responsible business practices has never been greater.
Deloitte is working very closely with our clients and then with all of our people.
We take complex matter and turn it into simple solutions for our clients. We need to keep pace, trying to be a step ahead. How do we do that? 3 words: high performance culture.
They audit multinational companies, banks, even whole economies. Deloitte, Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers and KPMG's annual revenue's about $105 billion a year. They're sometimes prosecuted and fined by governments, but like the banks, fines are a bit like parking tickets, just something to be added to business expenses. Prem Seeker is Professor of Accounting at Essex University. He calls the Big Four the pinstripe mafia.
Accountants don't pack shotguns and don't shoot people in the knees, but actually what they're doing is creating tax avoidance schemes at an industrial scale. A vast number of circular transactions are created for the sole purpose of avoiding taxes, no other reason. If all they are concerned with is appeasing clients and collecting fees for themselves, that is no different from pimps and drug dealers who can refer to many a satisfied client and very, very high fees. The question we ask them, what are you doing that is socially desirable, socially useful?
Like the Mafia, he says, they surround themselves with the garbs of professionalism. They eat in fancy restaurants, drive fancy cars, and they seem to run respectable businesses. But in fact, they're rotten to the core.
Lots of people elect governments through the ballot box because they promise better health care, better education, better transport, more security, policing, defense. But along come these accountants and they're saying, very interesting, through the ballot box you made certain choices, but actually we are going to do things which mean your choices can't be delivered. Subverting democracy. Who rules? The mafioso or the elected mayors and councillors and governments?
OK, so they would say that it's legitimate tax efficiency that they are promoting, and surely every company needs good professional expert advice.
As many a court case has shown, something is considered to be tax avoidance until it is challenged. Once it is challenged and it is thrown out, what that meant was that these people sat in these city centre offices discussing how we can rob the public purse, yet give the appearance of being within the law, and it turns out it was actually evasion. But it is very difficult for the authorities to take on all the dubious schemes.
And expensive also.
Absolutely, and that expense falls on the public purse. So at the moment in the UK, the courts are waiting to hear about 21,000 cases. These kind of disputes can last for years. It is extremely rare for the tax authorities to try to recover the costs from accountancy firms. In other words, the taxpayer loses even when the government wins. And then, we have a problem that every year about 30% of the UK finance bill or the budget just deals with the avoidance schemes. So think about the vast public time in analysing and then trying to provide legislation to deal with this.
Imagine also the limitations of developing countries and their resources for prosecuting tax avoidance by multinational companies registered in London or Switzerland. And so this cynical, silent tax war means serious loss of revenue. Yet despite that, governments still aren't really tackling the abuses of the Big Four. Why? Well, they're all big political party donors, but there's more.
At one level, the governments, so they haven't done much. They made noises about tax avoidance, how they're going to clamp down on this. But at another level, they use the same accountancy firms, for example, to restructure the health service, to privatize state-owned enterprises, bring them into the Treasury for all kind of things. And it is interesting, number of people from the big four firms directly associated with tax avoidance schemes are now at the Treasury and in other departments. In other words, they have penetrated the state, they have captured the state. So that has resulted in real corruption of the politics and public policy making.
So how do we tackle the big four? Here's a few of Professor Seeker's solutions.
The tax returns and related correspondence of all corporations should be publicly available, and the working papers of accountancy firms who are peddling tax avoidance schemes should be automatically available to the tax authorities. Now, at that point you hear an outcry, oh my God, it is private. Well, it can't be private when what they are doing is affecting the wider public. It is a public decision they made that the total public revenues must be eroded. Public can't have education, healthcare, and so on. And that is what the big four accountancy firms have done.
You've been listening to a TaxCast special feature produced by me, Naomi Fowler. For the Tax Justice Network's monthly TaxCast, go to www.tackletaxhavens.com/TaxCast. For more information on the Tax Justice Network, go to www.taxjustice.net.